So actually, I might have to go back up there because the lighting right here sucks. Unless I go on that side, but I can't see what's behind me. I could just go back up there. I will just go back up there. So this is my little spot. Something I like to do is just get some type of height. You know, I used to be afraid of heights. Now, I like to sit in the clouds, you know. And pretty much what this video is about, I think y'all will enjoy it. This video is actually about a book. For some of y'all that do know, I know I'm a ferocious reader. Some of y'all that don't know, y'all both know now. And this book right here is an amazing book by Robert Kiyosaki, Why the Rich Are Getting Richer. And I'm only gonna read the introduction. This book is for people that's trying to crack or that's on the way of cracking or already cracked 100K days, months, or weeks, you know? Where pretty much you're making so much money and your taxes are so heavy, you pretty much can start taking the money you would put into taxes and then put it into the economy and get tax write-offs directly instead of taking that and just sending it to taxes, to the IRS. So I'm already a few pages in, but this is still only the introduction. One thing I like about his books, a real book reader, you're going to read everything from the beginning page all the way to introduction, the preface, all of that. Even the foreword, if you have a foreword. Some books have foreword, some just got prefaces. But okay, introduction. Once upon a time, all a person had to do was go to school, get a job, work hard, save money, buy a house, get out of debt, invest for the long term in the stock market, and live happily ever after. That fairy tale is over. One of the primary reasons for the growing gap between the rich, poor, and middle class is this fairy tale. Simply put, the people following this fairy tale are falling into the chasm between rich and poor. People who still believe in this fairy tale are in financial trouble today. 20 years ago, in 1997, Rich Dad Poor Dad was first published. It was self-published because none of the publishers we contacted thought I knew what I was talking about. And I believe most of my Rich Dad's lessons did not make sense 20 years ago. 20 years ago, Rich Dad Poor Dad was written as a warning of the coming economic crisis we are in today. And 20 years ago, I was lambasted for saying that your house is not an asset or savers are losers. But times have changed. You may recall 20 years ago in 1997, the stock market was booming, jobs were plentiful, and most popular book was The Millionaire Next Door, published in 1996. The Millionaire Next Door was a story about the people who followed the fairy tale. Go to school, get a job, save money, get out of debt, live happily ever after. Simply put, in 1996, it was easy to get rich. Almost everyone was getting rich. The Millionaire Next Door had a college education, a good job, drove a conservative car, owned a house that was going up in value, and money in the stock market via a pension plan or personal retirement plan. Life was good. It was easy to become a millionaire. The American dream was a reality. A warning. In 1996, Federal Reserve Bank Chairman Alan Greenspan warned of irrational exuberance, which meant people were drunk and delirious believing getting rich was easy. A warning. In 1997, Rich Dad Poor Dad was released. Rich Dad Poor Dad was on the opposite side of the coin from The Millionaire Next Door. My rich dad did not believe in job security, saving money, living below your means, driving an economy car, getting out of debt, or investing for the long term in the stock market. And that's crazy because it's like if Millionaire Next Door was the #1 book in 1996 and he made Rich Dad Poor Dad 1997, and it's the very opposite of which was the #1 New York Times book in the world. I see how this book got a lot of backlash, but also why it got a lot of popularity. So something you can learn from this is everybody loves a controversial story. Or you can call it polarization story if you do both. You can be good and bad yourself, or you can be the bad to somebody good or the good to somebody bad. The world changed. Then in 2000, the dot-com bubble burst. 9/11 drove home the fact that global terrorism was not that far from our doors. The real estate bubble burst in 2007, and the nation's biggest banks crashed in 2008, like the Lehman Brothers. Geez. And interest rates were cut to below zero, and savers became losers. Lehman Brothers, you have, what's the guy name? Shit, you can even say George Soros, which is the Wolf on Wall Street. You can say Bernie, I forgot his last name, but basically, he's pretty much called the monster on Wall Street. But, yeah. Oil prices were plunged, causing, and this guy, Monster Wall Street, was responsible for $55 billion in real estate debt. He's the one that actually sparked the initial crash. No. He sparked the disastrous crash. He the one that put the shit in the recession. Then the Great Depression. At least that's what it felt like. Oil-based economies to wobble, and the war on terror escalated. The European Union came under strain as Greece, Italy, and Spain struggled. The rich got richer as the stock market reached new highs, but working poor class and middle class got poorer. Today, the world is tossing and turning through the toughest economic crisis in history. 20 years later, today, many millionaires next door are unemployed, and their house is the foreclosure next door. Today, young people are going to school, graduating, burdened in many cases with crushing student loan debt, and often unable to find the mythical high-paying job. Today, U.S. students' loan debt is to 1.2 trillion greater than U.S. credit card debt. Many students will never be able to afford a house because they do not earn enough money and are paying off their student loans. Many students and college graduates still live at home. Many educated young people have found jobs but are underemployed. The failure of young people to gain priceless, meaningless challenges, real-life work, and business experience is another time bomb for our future. Savers are losers. Today, savers are losers. Interest rates on savings are at historic lows. Japan, Sweden, Eurozone have negative interest rates. Pensions are in trouble. Most pension plans, private and public, operate on a 7.5% return on pensioners' saving CalPERS, California's public employees retirement systems, and the biggest government employee pension plan in the United States is operating at less than 2% return on equity, which means millions of government employees' pensions are underwater. Social Security and Medicare are in the red. Is another massive taxpayer bailout on the horizon. The robots are coming. Making matters worse, the robots are coming in this book, The Rise of the Robots, Technology and the Threat of Jobless Future. Martin Ford explains why fairy tale of going to school to get a secure job is delusional. odds are that even if you are a medical doctor, a robot can replace you today, not tomorrow. How many times have you went to get Chipotle, you went to a fast food place, and you felt bad ordering your food, and you were like, oh, can I get this? And they like, See, a robot not gonna be mad. Most of y'all, when y'all first get the job, y'all are eager, y'all need the money, y'all say y'all will fucking wipe the boss ass or the manager ass if you have to. But then the moment you get the job, especially black people, y'all become victims, y'all build correlations inside of the business, but y'all also be the ones stealing each other hours from each other, all type of goofy shit. And they just be like, bro, when you get to the point when you realize people can program a robot and this robot can be there 24 hours, now it's gonna be more 24-hour businesses. Then you have money that's going to circulate all day. So now it's going to be harder for ignorant people or sophisticated people to be able to capture where the most money is going to be made to capitalize on that. And then you also got to think, damn, if I can cash flow 24 hours a day, I really don't got to work for my time. I really don't got to work for money. So it's a good opportunity. The only people that's complaining about it are the people that are not providing opportunity. The world's richest countries are racing to develop robots. Technology to replace human beings not only may McDonald's employees soon be out of work, but the future of journalists, teachers, professionals like lawyers, doctors, accountants are also problematic. Martin Ford was not writing about jobs going overseas to low-wage countries. He is writing about humans being replaced by robots. He states that America can now compete with low-wage countries in manufacturing. Unfortunately, America will compete with robots, not human labor. The message is clear. Mass unemployment has arrived. Our new president. In 2016, Donald Trump was elected president of the United States. In a landslide, millions are afraid of him, what he will do. On the flip side, millions voted for him because they know the pain of cities dying and the unemployment rising. I voted for him because I represented change, and in my opinion, many things need to change. Donald Trump is a friend of mine. We have written 2 books together. When I cringed at some of his off-the-cuff and sensitive remarks about women, race, religion, and the person I got to know is a good man, as well as a great parent and a great leader. His 3 older children are fantastic young people. Kim and I have been invited to their weddings. His staff is made up of powerful, self-determined, articulate women who have been with him for decades. His wife, Melania, is elegant, beautiful, and speaks her mind, as well as 5 languages. My wife, Kim, respects Donald Trump because of the way he treats women. Donald Trump and I got together to write books because we are both concerned about the first line in the fairy tale. Go to school. We choose to co-author books because we are both educators. We both have rich dads, and we are concerned about the quality of education in America today. We believe real financial education must be made available to all students. President Trump has a tough job ahead because the United States and the world are in financial trouble. He too knows the fairy tale is over. Why this book? This book is written as the graduate school version of Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This book explains what real financial education is, why the rich are getting richer, the difference between rich, poor, middle class, and education. Unfortunately, not the education found in schools. Real financial education must include a bit of financial history. This crisis did not just happen. This financial crisis has been brewing for over 100 years, since 1933, well before the Great Depression, the year of the Federal Reserve System and U.S. tax system was created. This book will go into a brief history of the crisis. When you understand the historical events that have led to this crisis, you will unfortunately understand the millionaire next door, the person who continues to believe in the fairy tale is the financial trouble today. Oh. The millionaire next door is very much like my poor dad. For years, no one cared that factories moving out the country. For years, no one cared that one high-paying job were leaving the country. For years, no one cared that towns across the United States were dying. For years, the financial, political, and academic elite lived well, out of touch with the parts of America that were dying. Senator Bernie Sanders got it, which is why he almost beat Hillary Clinton in a Democratic primary. Donald Trump gets it, which is why today he is the president of the United States. Who will save you? My concern is that too many people are counting on the president to save them. While Trump is a great man, he is not Superman. I doubt he can save anyone unless they are willing to save themselves. Donald Trump and I got together because we do not believe in giving people fish. As Bernie Sanders and many others believe, Donald Trump and I in teaching people to fish. My first book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, was written 20 years ago to teach people to fish. Warning number 1, real education. This book, Why the Rich Are Getting Richer, is an advanced version of Rich Dad Poor Dad. Rich Dad Graduate School, if you have not read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I suggest you to read that book first before reading this book. This book is for graduate students of Rich Dad, those already familiar with the principles and lessons in that book. And with all Rich Dad's books, I have done my best to keep things simple. This book is simple, but what the rich do is not easy. The 90-10 rule of money. There is a rule of money known as the 90-10 rule. The rule states that 10% of the people earn 90% of the money. This book and the Rich Dad Poor Dad are about the 90-10 rule of money. The good news is, with that real financial education, almost everyone can be in the 10% who earn 90% of the money. In this book, you will find out why it does not require a high-priced college education from a prestigious school to be part of the 10%. In fact, many of the richest people in the world never finished college. Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, and Walt Disney being among them. The challenge for you is to decide, do you have a spirit, determination, and drive to gain a real financial education? If you are a quitter, do not work hard. And are you not willing to study? This book is not for you. If you are a person who believes that life should be easy and the government should take care of you, this book is definitely not for you. The book is about real financial education. The education that is not found in school. Warning number 2, taxes. President Barack Obama beat Republican candidate Governor Mitt Romney in 2012 for many reasons. One reason was taxes. Barack Obama disclosed he paid 30% in taxes. Mitt Romney paid less than 14% in taxes on income over $20 million. Donald Trump never released his tax returns, which drove his opponents crazy. Whether that was smart or devious depends upon your point of view on taxes. Much of this book is about taxes. If you love paying taxes and want to pay more taxes, this book is not for you. If you want to learn how people like Mitt Romney and Donald Trump make millions and pay very little in taxes, this book is for you. Taxes are fair. Many people believe taxes are unfair. What is unfair is a lack of real financial education that will help people to better understand taxes. The fact is that tax laws are for everyone. Anyone can pay less in taxes if they have real financial education to use the tax law to their advantage. Since taxes are such a hot and controversial subject, I've asked my personal tax advisor, Tom Wheelwright, to be my adjuvant, my authority on the subject of taxes in writing this book. Tom is the smartest, brightest, most diligent CPA I have ever met. One reason the rich getting rich is because they have advisors like Tom guiding them. The challenge is that an advisor like Tom Wheelwright can only do so much. If you truly want to earn millions, pay less, even zero in taxes, you have to do what the rich do. Tom can do very little to help the millionaire next door. Taxes reward financially educated. Taxes are not intended to punish people. They are intended to reward those who do not do what the government wants them to do. It takes financial education, action to know what to do, what the government will reward you to do. This book will give you insights into how the government reward those willing to follow their policies. For more in-depth information on tax rewards for being financially educated, I invite you to look at my Rich Dad Advisor Series book, Tax-Free Wealth. I also have that book. It's a good book. I haven't read it yet, but it smells good. I'm reading that after this. 1 and 3, you can't do this. You can't do this here. Tom Wheelwright and the other Rich Dad advisors travel the world teaching the lessons taught in this book. Everywhere we visit, including cities across the United States, there are people who will raise their hands and say, you can't do that here. In most instances, the person is like the millionaire next door, often a medical doctor, lawyer, accountant, financial advisor. As you read this book, you too will probably say, you can't do this here. The reason most people say that you can't is because they lack real financial education. Tom often invites another CPA from the country we are visiting to join us on the stage to verify that we can teach can be done in the country we are in. Even then, people will argue you can't do this here. And the fact is they can't. Without the real financial education described in this book, no one can do what the rich do. If they were financial or medical doctors, MBAs, lawyers, or even other CPAs, the following diagram explains who cannot do what we do. People, ESBI. People who say you can't do this here are mostly often E's, employees, and S's, small business owners or specialists. Small business owner is any business that's under 100 to 1,000 employees, such as doctors, lawyers, or self-employed. People like real estate agents, web designers, hairdressers. Looking at this diagram again, you may get a better idea of why people say you can't do this here and why some people are doing it. Barack Obama, E quadrant. Hillary Clinton, S quadrant. Donald Trump, Mitt Romney, B quadrant, I quadrant. The B quadrant stands for big business, businesses with 500 employees or more. An I quadrant represents professional investors. Most E's and S's invest like the millionaire next door. They are retail investors who invest in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs. Professional investors are people who manufacture their own investments or invest at wholesale prices. The people who say you can't do this in E's are S's who invest in paper assets. This book describes what people in the B and I quadrants really know and do. You can do what the B and I quadrants do if you are willing to invest in your financial education the real way. If you do, you will be one of the few who truly know why rich are getting richer. Join in the 90-10 club. If you are willing to do what it takes to make it to the B and I quadrants, you will join the 90-10 club and the 10% that makes 90% of the money. If you are not willing to join the ranks of the 10%, you can join the crowd who would say you can't do this here, even if they could. The reason most people say you can't do this here is because it's easier to push back and challenge the prospect of actually doing it, and then to actually just do it. This book is for anyone, rich or poor, or highly educated or not, who wants to do it. Robert is not a Republican or Democrat. He is an independent voter and an advocate for financial education. The mission of Rich Dad Company to elevate the financial well-being of humanity. 24 minutes in, y'all. I'm going to keep reading, but I'm just showing, bro. Like, this book, I got over $50,000 book collection. This is the name of the book. Buy it. This book was maybe $30. It's paperback, so this one was specifically maybe 14 bucks, you know? Get it, run through it, smash it. It's only a fucking 200-page book. 50 pages a day, 25 pages a day. Hey, however you want to do it. I'm pretty much already, like, I'm pretty much 30 pages in, but that's only 10 pages into the actual book. So I got like 40 pages to go. Shmoon.